Okay. And that's the Koveya. So just the Torah tonight should be Le'ili Nishmas, Sid Goldschmidt's grandfather. I thank you to Sandy and Sid Goldschmidt for sponsoring. In honor of Mayor Ben Shlomo Zev Zichron Levracha, the Divrei Torah should be a schus le'aliyas nishmaso. So last time that we were learning the sugya of Ksiva Sefer Torah. We discussed a few of the halachas regarding Ksiva Sefer Torah. Namely, we discussed whether or not a person is obligated to specifically write. Can a person buy machlokes hapoiskim, potentially machlokes between the sugya and menachos, the sugya and Sanhedrin, and the machlokes lahalacha in Shulchan Aruch against the Ramah, against the Taz and the Gra. And we discussed those different issues that emanate from our Gemara. So I'd like to, again, talk about a different issue, an independent issue, but that really connects to the sugya that we began, which is the mitzvah of Ksiva Sefer Torah. That for sure there's a mitzvah for the melech to write, and pashtus the melech has to write 2 Sefer Torah as we discussed last week, but the Gemara says that every Jew has a chiyuv, Rava said, to write their own Sefer Torah. I want to talk about the length of that Sefer Torah. What is the nature of that mitzvah? So before we get to the Gemara discussed just quickly, if we go back to why we started discussing this. If you look on the first, in the wide lines on Chaf Aleph on the base, so there's 2 dots, V'kosiv Sefer Torah Lishmo. So that's a quote from the Mishnah that the Melech has to write a Sefer Torah. And then the Gemara introduces that he has to write Shtei Saros. He has to write 2 Torahs. That's the end of that Gemara. So then the Gemara just says, Shehi yotzis v'nichneses. You see the first word on the line is Shehi. Abe. 10. 10 lines. The first word on the line is Shehi. Shehi yotzis v'nichneses imo. Ba'achas shemunachos lo. What do you say? 42 from the top. Wow. Ba'achas shemunachos lo. So now I know what you're doing in the last month. Baruch Hashem, sharpening your skills. So one, so both osa she nechnas imo, osa kamin kmiya v'toyle b'zro shenemar shivisi Hashem l'negdi summit. So the Gemara says something fascinating, and that's what I really want to start our discussion about. That these 2 Torahs, so one of them he leaves in the Beis Gnazov inside his palace, and one he makes a kmiya. He makes a kamiyah, and he literally puts it on his arm, and everywhere the Melech walks, he has a Sefer Torah. Now, if you think what they have now, these tiny Sefer Torah, and the smaller the Sefer Torah get, the more expensive they are. And they really have, like the size of what the little kids have on Simchas Torah, those are actual Sefer Torah. You have to really be careful when you're dealing with a real Sefer Torah, when you're not dealing with a real Sefer Torah. But the Melech's one was tiny. Was mamish tiny to fit around the arm, mamish tiny to fit around the arm. So that was the one that would go everywhere with him. So let's just go after the parentheses. Let's just read a little more. Eina nichnis ba loyla beis hamerchatz v'lola beis hakisei shene'emar v'hoisa imo v'kara bo makom haroi likros bo. So what does the Gemara say? Gemara says you can't bring it into a beis hakisei. Why? Because the Gemara tells you v'kara bo that it's dafka a makom haboy haroi likros bo. Rabbi say, and what if it didn't say v'kara bo? You're not allowed to take Kisvei HaKodesh into a Beis HaKisei. Is it din? It's also to take a Sefer Torah into a Beis HaKisei. What do you see from this Gemara? That the special mitzvah that the Melech has to have a Sefer Torah would have trumped that halacha of bringing a Sefer Torah into a Beis HaKisei, and v'hoise imo kol yomov would have trumped that, and it happens to be that we have a giloy that it's totally on a makom muroi l'kriya, that there's a gzeres hakosa that, don't take it into a Beis HaKisei. But, okay, so bottom line, he doesn't. So la'alocha, it's not. But the Havamin is incredible. The fact that the Melech needs to constantly have a Sefer Torah would have trumped Bizayin Kisei HaKodesh. Would have trumped the regular halachas of taking a Sefer Torah. Just from the Havamin of the Gemara is something incredible. Fine. What? Yeah, in a chanami. You have to know when you apply that, if this would have been a good example, but yeah, okay. It overrides, for sure. So just on the halacha of Sefer Torah, so the Rambam that you have in the handouts, just because we didn't get a chance to speak about this, the Rambam has just a fascinating language on this din, and it really connects to what I'd like to speak about tonight, which is the following. Mitzvah's essay, Al Kol Yisrael, we spoke about it last time, that there's a mitzvah on not only the Melech, but at least for one Sefer Torah, there's a mitzvah for everyone to write a Sefer Torah. Al Kol Ish V'ish Yisrael, Lichtei Sefer Torah. First of all, the Rambam sounds like that this mitzvah is even applies Bizman Hazeh, which the Shagas Ari happens to hold, has a tshuva. It's not the Shagas Ari that I quoted today. It's a different Shagas Ari. It's a few tshuvas about the mitzvah of Ksiva Sefer Torah. The Shagas Ari thinks that Bizman Hazeh there is no mitzvah d'oraisa to write a Sefer Torah. It's a good Shagas Ari to paskin like. It makes things more affordable. What? No, that's the Rosh's Shita. That's the Rosh Shita. He says even according to the Rambam Shita that you're not Yotzei through Svarim. He says because the Gemara says Anan loy bekiyin bechaseris v'yaseris. We unfortunately we don't know how to write words. The Gemara tells us that we lost the bekiyis to know what's the way to write, what's the way not to write. So says the Shagas Ari. So if you can't know how to write it, so then Mamela you're not going to have the mitzvah deoraisa of Ksiva Sefer Torah. There's a lot to talk about that Shagas Ari, but Lamaisi he paskins la'alacha that there is no mitzvah deoraisa to write a Sefer Torah based on that. But the Rambam seems to be against this. The Rambam says, mitzvah says, kol yishuv Yisrael, Yisrael lichtov Sefer Torah la'atzmo, shenemer va'ata kisvu lechem es hashira azois. As the Pasuk says, we had a few weeks ago, va'ata kisvu lechem es hashira azois. Koloimar. Listen to what the Rambam says. What is the Torah telling us? Kisvu as ha-Torah sheyesh b'shira. Zu. You should write the Torah that has this shira. Lefi she'en koisvin es ha-Torah Parshios. So listen to what the Rambam is telling us. Why do I have to write a whole Sefer Torah? Because the Rambam has a kasha. When you read the psukim say Va'ata kisvu lechem es hashira azos. That's referring to Parshas Hazinu. So I'll ask the Rambam, so why can't we just get away with just writing Parshas Hazinu? Says the Rambam, Lefi she'ein koisvin Parshios. So how do you read this Rambam? So if I want to know bottom line, what is the mitzvah? Is the mitzvah to really write Parshas Hazinu? But there's a problem with writing Parshas Hazinu. There's a technicality that I can't just write Parshas Hazinu. Memela, I have to pay off a sofer to write 4.5 other Svarim? Or no, once the din is that I can't write Parshas Hazinu, so Memela, the Kavanas HaTorah was always to write a Sefer Torah, Sheyesh Bo Shira. So that's the Shaila that I have over here in Siman Lamedala that the Shagas Ari declares. That's his Chakira. He wants to understand, how do you relate to this din? When the Torah says, Va'ata kisvu lechem es hashira azos, I could read that in one of two ways. Is it that really the Torah wants a Torah Sheyesh Bo Shira, or really the Torah wants a Shira, and the only thing is I just can't write a Shira, so therefore I have to write a Torah. One second. What's an afkamina? Who cares? Lamaisi, you have to write a whole Torah. Says the Shagas Ari, what would be in the following case? What would happen if, number one, I wrote the whole Torah, and someone erased the rest of the Torah, and the Shira is left? Am I yotzei the mitzvah or not? So if you understand the mitzvah is redefined, and it's Torah sheyesh bo shira, so no, you need the Torah. But if you understand that, no, it's all a technicality. Really, we wanted you to write a shira, but what were you supposed to do? We can't just have you write a shira. Why? Because like koisvim parshias, because you don't write separate parshias in Torah. It's usher, according to the way we paskin, to write separate parshias of the Torah. So therefore, we have to have you write the whole Sefer Torah. Or let's say, says the Rambam, what happens if my father, the Rambam says, right, I have to write the Sefer Torah. What happens if my father wrote all of it, and I write the shira? Was I yotzei the mitzvah? Was I yotzei the mitzvah or not? So that's the Shagas Aryeh's kasha. So the Shagas Aryeh ends up saying he thinks the pashtus in the Rambam is that what? Is that the Rambam says you have to be kosev ha-Torah sheyesh bo shira. So Mamela, the whole mitzvah was the Torah. Once you can't be kosev, parshias. That's what the Shagas Aryeh says. The pashtus from the Rambam. Or he declares another shaila. What happened with the Evid? If I went against the Isser of parshias, I decided I don't care about the Isser of parshias. I want to write Shiras Hazinu, just Shiras Hazinu. So now, bottom line, I want to know, Rabbi, was I yotze the mitzvah or not? So that's the Shagas Aryeh. That's part of his chakira, and he says from the Rambam, v'hachi mashma at the end of in the second column. In the end of the first paragraph, v'hachi mashma lahedim midivrei Rambam shar kasav kolomer kisvu lachem Torah sheish bo shirazu. He thinks the pashas in the Rambam is that you have to write the entire Torah, but he's not 100% sure. But then the Shagas Aryeh asks the following question. He says, I don't understand, but if the driving force is that Lamaisa, the Rambam says, what the Rambam says? The Rambam says, because I have a problem. I have a limitation over here. What's my problem? I can't write parshias. We can't just start writing. We have to write complete things in the Torah. It's a Gemara in Gittin that says you can't write the Torah split up. You can't just write stam. It's the whole shaila, by the way. Just writing psukim really gets into whether or not you could put psukim on invitations. It's not pasha that you could just write psukim, and there's many halachas that people are not aware of about writing psukim, and we have to understand the leniencies of this. There's a tzura of the way Talmud Torah is supposed to be done, and way the Sifrei Torah have to be kept and transmitted. So I asked the Shagas Aryeh, but I understand. It's mutter for you to write a sefer, so let's make this mitzvah much cheaper and only have the mitzvah to write sefer dvar. Why does the Rambam tell us that you have to write the entire Torah? Once you can't write the Shira, ask the Shagas Aryeh. The Rambam says, once you can't write the Shira, so then you must write the Sefer Torah. What happened, asked the Shagas Aryeh? You skipped. You just went from Menakotze el Akotze. You went from Hazinu to the entire Torah. What happened to Sefer Dvarim? Asked the Shagas Aryeh.
Why can't you say the wrong when he says Parshios means anything that separates everything?
No, that's what the Shagas Aryeh is saying. That's not the din. The din is you're allowed, it's mutter. Even the Manda Amar who says Ein Kos and Parshios holds you're allowed to write a full sefer. That's mutter. That's not the Isser of Ein Kos and Parshios. Ein Kos and Parshios means the pay and the stumas. The samachs and the pays, that's the Parshios. So ask the Shagas Aryeh, so why do we have to jump to the full sefer Torah? So I think the teretz is pashut. The psukim go on. Va'ata kisvilchem es ashir azos, v'lamda es b'nei Yisrael. I mean, the tachlis of writing a sefer Torah is for what? It's for limud haTorah. It's for kriyas harabim. It's for kriyas haTorah on the bima. It's to be mitzi people and learning in Talmud Torah the Rabbim. What is the type of sefer Torah that you're yotzei at Talmud Torah the Rabbim? It's what? It's sefer Torah. So yeah, you're right. And technically, you're right. You got around the isser of ein koisvim parshias. But once we're not only just writing a shira, and the din is to write to write more than the shira, so it must be that it's got to be a sefer Torah, and it's not just about getting around the technicality of the sefer Torah. What's interesting in a ha'ara is that why did the Rambam have to tell me this? Once the din is to write a sefer Torah, so why did the Rambam have to go out of his way and say, by the way, it sounds like we're not ignoring the fact that it also is a shira. Sounds like the Torah wanted you to look at it in two ways. There's an element to the fact that it's a shira that remains even after we transform the mitzvah, and we say that the only way to be yotze to the mitzvah is through a sefer Torah, even if that's the definition of the mitzvah, and it's not just a technicality like the Shagas Aryeh is learning. So it sounds like there's two dimensions to this mitzvah. On the one hand, yes, you have to write a full sefer Torah. But on the other hand, don't forget that the Torah was mechayev and obligated this mitzvah with a language of a shira. And I want you to remember that it's a shira. So therefore, the Rambam, when he's bringing down this halacha, he says that it's a shira. So the Shagas Aryeh, I just wanted to begin already this discussion about even by Yisrael, since the mitzvah begins as va'ata kisvulchem as shira zos, there was a tzad that b'di'eved, a person who forgot about the Yisr, the Shagas Aryeh has a tzad that maybe B'di'evid you'd be yotze even if you just wrote Shiras Hazinu. Maybe that's the nature of the mitzvah. And now, if you want to do it correct, the Rambam's telling, or the halacha is that you have to write a full-fledged Sefer Torah. The reason why this is also nogeya to us is specifically because of the kamiyah that we started off with. Comes along the Rashash, and the Rashash points out in this Gemara, Bam Kasha, says the Gemara in Brachos, the Rashash is on Chaf Alpha Mabez. It's Dibra Maschel, Osa Kamin Kamiya V'tola B'zroa. You make it like a Kamiya and you hang it on your arm, says the Rashash. It's in the Otzer Mefarshim in the boxes in the back. Before there, Adi. Yeah. No, more. You have to go to the Yalkut Mefarshim. You got it? Yeah, that's it, right? So, more. Should be right after the Marsha. Go more. Give me some more. Be generous. There you go. Chaf Alpha Mavis. Oh, Yud. Yeah. Or what is it in your adapim? Yud. So says the Rashash. Says the Rashash. Listen to this. He quotes a Gemara in Brachos. Kashali. Ha'aser litlos sefer Torah. You're not allowed to hang sefer Torah. Afilu b'kis, even from your pocket. So ask the Rashash, so ask the Rashash, what's going on with this melech? How's he allowed to hang it on his arm?
What does it say about this?
Aser litloi sefer Torah afilu b'kis. Yeah. He's quoting from the Gemara in Brachos. So says the Rashash, in connection to the length that we were just discussing. One second. The Sefer Torah Shniya, this Sefer Torah that you're osakim in Kamiya, lo haisa Torah shlema. It wasn't a full Sefer Torah. Ela mi Sefer ha-mitzvahs b'koitzer, komo sheperish k'tzas krod, v'kasavta ala avonim es chavta ala Torah azois, the Mizbeach har-eva, like you find in the Psukim, in the Tzavim, by the writing of the Sefer Torah, that they just listed a few of the halachos in Dvarim. So says the Rashash from this kasha, that it's not mutter to hang a Sefer Torah. It must be that this Sefer Torah that was kamin kamiyah, that would stay with the melech, was not a full-fledged Sefer Torah.
Still, Sefer Torah or not, it's still presumably as Shem Hashem. It's no different.
No, the Gemara says specifically Sefer Torah. You can't be Torah Sefer Torah. So he's saying, if I can get out of it from being a Sefer Torah, so then it's mutter. So it doesn't sound like it.
Still has some sort of tashmish.
Yeah. So Rav Moshe writes the following. He says, although the Rambam doesn't say this clearly, the Rambam does not bring down our halacha of kamin kamiyah. When the second Sefer Torah that the Melech had to write, the Rambam never brings down that he would be toilet and it's kamin kamiyah, which, okay, maybe that's the answer to the Rashash. But all the Noisakei, the Kesef Mishnah and the Lechem Mishnah, they all ask, why didn't the Rambam bring down the din of the Gemara? So Rav Moshe says, from the fact that all the Noisakeilim asked this kasha, he's paskening la'alacha the following shaila that he got. And I mentioned this a few years ago in a Shalosh Shulish here. Moshe got a shaila, which I think I got that shaila before, which is exactly Rav Moshe's shaila. Person was asked, can he wear a mezuzah on a necklace? So Rav Moshe was dealing with this Gemara about being toile, kisvei hakodesh, or there it's a full-fledged sefer. It has a din sefer of a mezuzah, not just stam psukim. So would it be mutter or not? So Rav Moshe said, I think it's mutter. What's with the Rashash's question? Rashash said it must be that this wasn't a din sefer Torah because it can't be a full-fledged sefer. So says Rav Moshe, I disagree with the Rashash. I think that Gemara is specifically to hang it on a door, hang it on an object. But if a person is putting it ba'gufo, says the Rav Moshe, ein hider gadol mizeh. And says Rav Moshe, that's the answer to why the Melech wearing a kmiya. Where did he wear his kmiya? He didn't hang it off his belt. He wore it around his body. Such a matzav, says Rav Moshe, is a hider to be misatef begufcha with Sefer Torah, and therefore the Rav Moshe paskin la'alocha that if you're going to wear a necklace with a mezuzah, it'd be mutter, just like a melech is allowed to wear the Sefer Torah kamin kmiya around his body. And Rav Moshe Lamaisa la'alocha argued with the Rashash on our Gemara. The Rambam doesn't bring it down, so hopefully we'll try to explain that. But Rav Moshe says, I'm not bothered by the fact that the Rambam didn't bring it down. Because if all the Nosei Kalim on the Rambam are asking on the Rambam why he didn't bring it down, so I could philosoph on those Nosei Kalim, and I could pass him like those Nosei Kalim that at least had a kasha on the Rambam. And the din is that the Melech would wear it, and once he would wear it, it wasn't a violation of that Gemara, not because it wasn't a full-fledged Sefer Torah like the Rashash says. Avade, it was a full-fledged Sefer Torah, and it then had a din of a chosh of a Sefer that should have been Asar al the Gemara and Brachas. Elamai, so what? Says Rav Moshe, there's a difference between wrapping your body with it and having it on your body, which is a kavod and a hider. Says Rav Moshe, therefore I think it's mutter for this person to put a mezuzah in his necklace and to wear the whole Sefer Torah, the whole Sefer of the mezuzah, which has a din of kisvei hakodesh on its own.
So the kamiyah wouldn't have been just one partial, would have been the whole Sefer?
Exactly, that's Rav Moshe's argument. So Lamais, it comes out, we have a machlokes, not only la'alacha between Rav Moshe and Rashash, but it's also machlokes what the second Sefer Torah consisted of.
But he's also not distinguishing, applying that halacha equally to the mezuzah, which is not a whole Sefer Torah.
Right, correct. So what the Isser l'chayra applies to anything that has. I didn't want to say what Eitan said before that it had din kedusha because it's not totally on shemus. It's not totally on shem shamayim. It's totally on a din sefer. So mezuzah has a din sefer. So therefore it was the same thing. Sefer Torah has a din sefer. So that was a tefillin l'chayra would be in that same example because it has a din sefer, not because it just has some ksuv. Yeah.
Two things. If you wore a mezuzah on a necklace, you can't go into a beis hakisei, beis harefetz with it, right? Also, the king,
Unless you're a melech. Yeah.
the king wearing
No, you can't do that either. But you would have a havamina that you could. But yeah.
the king wearing a sefer Torah is like a regular Yisrael wearing tefillin, right? So the king didn't have the halakha at night to wear it because
King wear what you call wearing tefillin as being toilet? I don't think you're toilet on your body. I think I'm a kush ukshartem. Adarabah, it's my crown.
He does it on his arm. That's not a tefillah on the arm.
No, if I care, the Shulchan Aruch writes you're not allowed to be toilet. To be careful when you're taking off the tefillin. The Shulchan Aruch writes in Hilchos Tefillin, don't be toilet. A lot of people take off their tefillin and they start hanging it around. It's shaloi kedin. It's a bizayon of the tefillin. It's not right. So you have to be careful. I remember my father, Zechron Levrach, used to say, when you put on the tefillin sharosh, it's one of the first things he told me before I put on tefillin. I still remember this. Before it was whatever it was, a month before my bar mitzvah. He said, when you put on your tefillin sharosh, I didn't see this in any svarim, but I just thought it was a very practical thing. He says, take the kesher and the tefillin sharosh, put them together, and then, put it up here and have it so so you're not toilet at all. So it just automatically rests on your body. So you never are hanging it. But a lot of times people are holding like this, and then the tefillin fall, and then that's to be toilet. What?
When you're holding the rosh itself.
No, when you're holding the rosh itself, I don't think it's fine. But he was telling me a practical thing about and when you hold it. Yeah, 100%. I think if you're holding the shel rosh, that by definition is not being toilet. Yeah, fine. Good. So let's talk about why the Rambam didn't bring this down. Perhaps we can have another suggestion. So we don't have time to go through the entire Gemara, and I want to move weiter into the next Mishnah. So there's a fascinating Gemara. The Gemara gets into, if you remember, we were talking about the fact that the Torah says, because of his Hamishna Torah Azos, we learned last time that the Melech had a mitzvah to write 2 Sefer Torah above and beyond the Yisrael. So the Gemara has another drasha and gets into a whole new discussion, a fascinating discussion based on this language. Tanya, let's go a little bit down, further down. I just want to make sure that I do with you what's relevant. Gemara starts with the following story. Amar Mar Zutra. Let's start one line under the parentheses, the end of the line. Amar Mar Zutra v'Tema Mar Ukva b'tchila nitna Torah Yisrael b'ksav ivri v'lashon HaKodesh. Every time I see this Gemara, I think of Rav Belsky, because when I went to the museum, what's it called in Brooklyn, which was Rav Belsky's favorite place to hang out, Living Torah Museum, where they have it. Everyone, it's Kedai to take your family. It's Kedai to go to this Living Torah Museum. It's Kedai really for us to go on a trip. It's unbelievable. It's incredible.
It's closed.
Really closed down?
Last year it was closed.
Well, what happened to it? Oh, I didn't know that. So Rav Belsky was nifter. So they brought out like all the shkalim and they have all these artifacts. I don't know. I hope they reopen something like it. It's really incredible. So Rav Belsky used to hang out there because he was a brilliant man, and they said that he knew Ksav Ivri like the original text of what the languages are before. Our Ksav is Ksav Ashuris. So as you're going to see, the Ksav changed. Originally, what the Torah was given is Ksav Ivri. He spoke that fluently. He read it fluently. He understood it fluently. That's just like a tipa shabiyam of all the stories about him. But I just remember that they were saying he was able to read texts with in Ksav Ivri in that original. I can't even. They're like the different symbols that represent letters. Right. So the Gemara says that the original Ksav that the Torah was given was Ksav Ivri. The Lashon HaKodesh, Chazav v'nitnolem b'mei Ezra b'ksav Ashuris v'Lashon HaRami. Birur l'an Yisrael ksav Ashuris v'Lashon HaKodesh. The Gemara now goes into a discussion about how our ksav, and the ksav really that we have today, was really a transformation of ksav. And in the Zman of Moshe Rabbeinu, the Torah wasn't given in that ksav. It was really originally ksav Ivri, and then it changed to ksav Ashuris. Let's skip a little bit. That's the Gemara gives shvach to Ezra, right? The Gemara says 4 lines from the bottom. 5 lines to that. Roy haya Ezrasan shetinasan Yisrael al yado. Ezra was on the mile of Moshe Rabbeinu that he should have had Kabbalas HaTorah. El Malay like Kidma Moshe b'Moshe Omer Moshe el Elohim Ezra Omer hu Ezra Allah bibavel ma'aliyah da Omer kan Torah Afaliyah Omer kan Torah. B'Moshe Omer v'Yisatziva Hashem b'Yisrael lamed eschem chuk mishpatim. B'Ezra Omer ki Ezra eichen levav lidros Hashem Torah Hashem v'las lam Yisrael chuk mishpat v'alf b'shel nitna Torah Yisrael al yado nishtane haksav. So what do you mean? So what did Ezra get lamaisa? Ezra didn't have Nesinas HaTorah because we already got it from Moshe. It happens to be Moshe preceded him, and Moshe got that schus. But don't think Ezra so geschlecht, so b'di. Ezra had a tremendous schus also. Ke'eni got a Nesinas HaTorah because the text, the letters of the Sefer Torah changed from Ksav Ivri to Ksav Ashuris. When? In the Zman of Ezra. How do you know?
Ezra wrote it?
What?
Who wrote it then in Ktav?
Yeah, Ezra wrote it. Ezra changed the Ksav, yeah. So how did they get the Ksav? You look in the Sefer Daniel. So this, this is in Sefer Ezra. Because of Anishtaven, Kosav Aramis u'Meturgam Aramis, v'ksiv lo kahal and Ksav le'mikra u'psharo lo odola malka u'ksiv v'kosav es Mishnat Torah Zois. So there was a whole story there that the Malach came down and was giving a nevuah about the end of Malchus Pras. I'm not a bucky in Nevi'im or Ksuvim, but I learned this story from Rabbi Orlean in Bible and YU, so I remember him teaching that. So that was the story, and the pasuk says over there that they didn't understand what the Malach was writing. They didn't understand the Ksav. So it's a similar Gemara. Yeah, the Gemara has the same thing. The Gemara in the beginning of Megillah. So the Gemara has that they didn't understand the Ksav. So why? Because it wasn't their Ksav, and that was the ultimate Ksav, which changed in that Zman. Uksiv because of his Mishnah Terzos. Ksav haroy lishtanos. So it was a Ksav that was nishtana. So therefore, what? You have another drasha on because of a Mishnah Terzos. So let's remember this. The reason why I'm bringing all this down is because we learned because of a Mishnah Terzos means lechem Mishnah, means the Melech writes too. But now there's an alternate pshat on the mitzvah of shinoi, milashon shinoi, that the ksav change. Now, just about this issue of ksav changing, it's a little bit problematic because Ezra's a navi, and the Ritva points out that the Gemara tells us in Tmura, the Gemara tells us in Megillah. Ein navi rashe lechadesh davar. A navi cannot introduce something new that isn't found in a remez in the Torah or in the Torah itself. So the Ritva says, how did Ezra change the Torah? Very nice, he's royal lakach. But if it's also for him to do that, ein navi rashe lechadesh davar. In addition, the Ritva asks a bam kasha. The Gemara tells us, mem v'samach shebeluchos. Mem v'samach shebeluchos. What does the Gemara say? B'neis hayu omdim. It was a miracle how they stayed in the luchos. Why? Because they are the two letters that go through and through. And how could they stay still? Must be there was a constant miracle going on with the luchos that mem v'samach shebeluchos b'neis hayu omdim. Ask the Ritva, it doesn't even seem from the Gemara that issue of mem v'samach shebeluchos was a machlokes. Everyone agreed to that. So ask the Ritva, how could that be? If it was not Ksav Ashuris at that time, it was Ksav Ivri, and the Ksav was only Nishtane, Bizman Ezra, so how do you have a nace of Mem V'Samach Shebeluchos B'neis Hayomd?
Yeah, the original Mem and Samach in Ksav Ivri were also hollowed out.
No, they're not.
They're not. So, the Ritva says, here's the answer. The Ritva says, everyone agrees that the Luchos were given b'ksav ashuris. Even at Nesinas HaTorah, and even though the rest of the Sefer Torah was given b'ksav ivri, mikoyach, these two kashas, says the Ritva, you have to say that the luchos were different, and there was a din of ksav ashuris already given at the time of Matan Torah. Says the Ritva, that answers the second kasha also. It's not ein navi rasha lechodesh davar, because it was already nischadish. Bizman Moshe Rabbeinu, and Memela, it's not a violation of what the Navi is able to do. HaKadosh Baruch Hu saw down the road that this was going to be the future Ksav HaNishtane v'kosav es HaMishnah HaTorah Azos, and he already did that in the and placed that in the Luchos. Yeah.
So if you found a Sefer Torah that was in Ksav Ivri, it's also to read from, it's puzzle.
Yeah.
What is the assumption about the first luchot? How was the second luchot written?
I was thinking the same thing.
So
Yeah.
Moshe wrote it.
Yeah. The only difference between the what?
Moshe wrote the second.
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah. So
luchot.
Moshe wrote a b'ksav ashuris, right?
Okay.
Right. Yeah. Good. Weiter. Okay. So that is what the Gemara introduces over here. So you have an alternate drasha. Why do I keep on stressing that alternate drasha? Because this is what I wanted to get to, and this is what I want to speak about tonight. A fascinating issue. So the Gemara says, let's skip a little further. The Gemara just quotes a few machloksim about this issue of whether or not the ksav changed. Does everyone agree to this, that the ksav changed? So the Gemara quotes brises that hold that maybe you have psukim that show that the vavi amudim, that just like the vavi amudim of the Mishkan stand still, so to the ksav never stand still. Let's skip to back to our original brisa, just to save time. The Gemara says, Elamani Mekayim es Mishnah Torah Azos, in the middle of the wide lines on Chav Beis, 4 lines down. L'shtei sharis, achash yotzis imo v'nichnes imo v'achash menechas lo v'neis glavav osa sheyotzis v'nichnes imo osa kamin kmiya, like we learned before. V'tzloa b'zoro. How do you know that? How do you know that you have to make it a small Sefer Torah and you have to put it on your Zoreya and Machlokes of Moshe and the Rashash, how long that Sefer Torah was, like we spoke about? Says the Gemara, I have a pasuk, Shivisi Hashem lenegdi samid. Because the pasuk says, Shivisi Hashem lenegdi samid. So the Gemara says that that's a drasha on the melech, that the Torah should always be next to the melech, should be parallel to the melech. V'idach, this is what I want to focus on. V'idach, and the other manda omer, Hai Shivisi my darish be. So what does it mean, v'idach? So again, the Gemara is saying that there were certain opinions that held that the Torah never changed, and they wrote two Sifrei Torahs. So the Gemara is now saying, if you held that the Ksav changed, so then what? V'idach, what do you do with what? What do you do with Shivisi? So I have a question, asked the Marshal. Why don't you say that Sefer Torah that he has to write has to be Kamin Kmiya? Again, you use the pasuk of Mishnah Torah Azos for this man of Ezra that the Ksav changed. So that means, what do I lose? I lose the second Sefer Torah. So the Melech only has to write one Sefer Torah. So why, says the Marshal, why does the Gemara have Akasha, and what does he do with Shivisi Hashem Lenegdi Summit, which again was the source for the other Deya to hold that it has to be small and it has to go with him forever? Why can't he learn still that Sefer Torah that he is obligated to write is what? Is small. So, first of all, just to answer the Marshal, you can answer like the Rashash. The Gemara was assuming like the Rashash that it wasn't a full-fledged Sefer Torah, and we didn't want that the Melech would be less than a Hediot, right? That he's just going to write some Psukim if it's going to be small. So if you hold like the Rashash, the Marshal's Kasha is not a Kasha, right? But says the Marshal, why didn't the Gemara just answer simply? Why did the Gemara say that Sefer Torah is small? That one Sefer Torah. So comes along the Marshal, and the Marshal says we learned this Gemara wrong. Even if you hold that the pasuk of the Kosav HaMishnah Torah Zos is going on a Shinoi Haksav, says the Marshal, everyone agrees that how many Sifrei Torahs did the Melech have to write? 2. He says that's the pashtus of our Mishnah, and you don't find that that's a debate. Says the Marshal, therefore, the Gemara had the following question. One second, let's see the Marshal inside. It's in the Chachma Shlomo on the bottom of the Marsha, right after the Rosh in our Gemaras. Marshal says, hold on. Ida Chai Shivisim my Darish Bey. One second. So let's see the Rashal. V'nir be'enai. Ein lefarsh v'idach deloy svir le v'kosavas ha'mishnah Torah zois. Don't learn that the one that doesn't learn Mishnah Torah zos l'shnei Torahs, that he learns that it means something else. It's not going on 2 Torahs. Imkein Torah achas haisel melech. There was one Torah for the melech, says the Marshal. Shivisi maika avidle. So then the Gemara asks, so what? That would be the way we read the Gemara. So the Marshal says, So then the Gemara asks, so what do you do with the pasuk of Shivisi that the other day it learns that to mean that it would go with him wherever Kamin Kameya? So ask the Marashal what we just said. Shemala also Sefer Torah Chidi, maybe that one Sefer Torah that he has, Osakach, he makes it like a Shivisi type. He makes it Kamin Kameya. What's the problem? Va'od, says the Marashal, and I'll tell you an additional reason you can't learn like that. Mi ika deloy svirule sheyesh lamelech shnei sifrei Torahs. Dim loikein v'hai v'kosav lo gabi melech lamali. Hari afilu kol hedyo mechuyev lichto lo sefer Torah. He says it can't be that there's a machloikas tanoim on whether or not the melech had to write 2 sifrei Torahs. Because then you're making the melech less than what? Less than on par with the hedyo. Hari afilu kol hedyo mechuyev lichto sefer Torah. Shnemer va'ata kisv'lechem es ashira azos. Va'od ala stoma de masnisen kamer. Even the Pashup shot in our Mishnah, everyone reads Pashup. No machlokes tanam there. Digabe melech bo yinan shtei saras. You need 2 Torahs when it comes to the melech. So don't make it a debate in the Gemara whether or not you need 2 or 1. And then. So what is the Gemara's kasha? Ule'el lo yalef mi because of as a Mishnah. Ela da'afilu hai Torah shniya boy lemichtav. Everyone agrees that you have to write a second Sefer Torah. V'lo yisna mishalafosa. How do you read the Gemara? The Darish v'vakasav es ha-mishnah Torah lehishtanos haksav b'sefer Torah shniya. He learns that the Sefer Torah shniya has to be what? Has to be a shinoi ksav. She ksiva daka. Has to be a tiny lettering. Shetehe kol kach trana lasos ba kimia kedechsiv Shivisi Hashem l'negdi samid. So the Gemara says, he learns that the first Manda Omer that learns Shivisi Hashem l'negdi samid, that teaches you that you have to do Kamin Kamiya, he learns that is Megala to me, that Ksav Anishtavun means that the Ksav has to be small. The Ksav has to be small so that you can be Mekayim Shivisi Hashem l'negdi samid, meaning you got to get a Sefer that can write it very small. So now, what was the kasha of the Gemara? So now the Gemara asks, Uparech, and now the Gemara says, Hashta Shapir, V'idach. Who's the V'idach? The V'idach is the one that says, V'kosav es ha-mishnah Torah azos is not talking about Ksiva Daka. What's it talking about? L'ksav ha-nishtavun. The Manda Omer holds it's talking about a mocker that the Ksav will change in the Zman of Ezra. If you learned that the nature of the din of Ksav HaMishnah Torah Zos means Ksav HaNishtane Bizman Ezra, so then it doesn't mean what? A source to write the small lettering Ksiva Daka. It meant no, in Jewish history, the letters will change from Ksav Ivri to Ksav Ishuris. But it was never telling me something about Shivisi Hashem L'negdi Samid. That, says the Marshal, is the way you read the Gemara. Again, Marshal says, he had a question. He says, the way everyone reads this Gemara, the Gemara presents a question, Ule'idach manda Amar, what does he do with Shivisi? So the Pashup shot in the Gemara sounds like the other Deya that holds that you don't have to write 2 Sifrei Torahs, so what does he do with the Pasuk of Shivisi? Ask the Marshal, and who says that other Sefer Torah doesn't have to be Shivisi with him wherever? How do you know that he argues about that? Says the Marashal, it can't be. There's no machloikes tanoim that a melech has to write 2 Sifrei Torahs. So then what was the Gemara saying? Ule'idach, what do you do with the pasuk of Shivisi Hashem l'negdi samid? So the Marashal was saying, no, I'll tell you what it meant. The Brisa says, because of his HaMishnah Torah Zos, one day I held what? That it has to mean what? It means Jewish history changed. It went from Ksav Ivri to Ksav Ashuris. Ksav HaMishnah, Ksav HaNishtavun, Ksav HaNishtanis. So what does the other Manda Omer say? No, the other Manda Omer, right after that, the Gemara says, no, he uses that for Osolo Kamin Kamiya. Since the Pasuk says, Shivisu Hashem L'negdi Samid, it must imply that the Pasuk of the Kosav HaMishnah Torah Zos means that Ksav has to be a very thin Ksav, has to be a very tiny Ksav, has to be practically that it's a small Ksav, like what the Sofrim do today, nothing to do with Jewish history. Nothing to do with Jewish history, so then what does the Manda Omer that holds Jewish history do with the Pasuk of Shivisi Hashem L'negdi Samid? That's the way the Marashal reads the Gemara. The reason why this Marashal is important, although it's a little technical in the way you learn the Gemara, because the Marashal takes issue with this. Marshal will not accept anyone concluding that there is no mitzvah for a melech to write two Sifrei Torah. That was not the debate in the Gemara, and that was not up for grabs in the Kasha of the Gemara of L'idach Manda Amr. Meir v'Rabbi say, the reason why this Marshal is fascinating is because you look in the Chidushim of Meir Simcha on Mesechus Sanhedrin. This is Chidushim on Shas. In addition to a Sefer or Sameach that he wrote in the Rambam, he came out with 2 volumes on Bavli and 1 volume on Yerushalmi. Fascinating Chidushim on the Shas. You remember, Rav Moshe said, I don't know why, when it came to the Shiloh about wearing the Mezuzah necklace, Rav Moshe said the Rambam didn't bring this din down of oisim lo kamin kamiya, but says Rav Moshe, but all the Nosei Kalim asked on the Rambam why he didn't bring it down, so I'm going to paskin that this guy could wear the necklace because of the fact that the Nosei Kalim attacked the Rambam for that, and I can deal with the fact that the Rambam doesn't bring it down. Comes along Rav Meir Simcha Midvins and says what? The Rambam paskins what? That Jewish history changed. Memela what? Memela what? Memela you don't have Kamin Kamiya. Based on the way the Rambam learns, says the or Sameach, the Rambam, it says it in one line, it says, Nira Lefia Baru Lefia Nias Daiti, the Rambam learned the Gemara like the Marshal. The Rambam learned like the Marshal that Jewish history changed. And Kosav HaMishnah Torah Azois means what? Ksav Shenishtanis in history. Ksav Shenishtavun. It's not a source for what? Ksivadaka. It's not a source for writing it tiny. It's not a source for what the Sofrim do and charge $50,000 for that new tiny Sifrei Torah. The Rambam must have held what? That the Ksav was Nishtanis and there was no Din Kmiya. Now says Rav Meir Simcha, now I understand, according to the way the Marshal reads the Gemara, why the Rambam never brings down this halacha, because the Rambam didn't paskin kamin kameya. Because only if, according to the Marshal, only if you learn Ksav that was written B'Ksiva Daka to learn that pshat in the Gemara, can you say that there's a din kamin kamiya? But if you learn that Ksav Shenishtanis Bizman Moshe to Zman Ezra, so that you're not allowed to learn that it's also in kamin kamiya, and the Rambam knew that he was leaving it out because the Rambam held that based on the Gemara, it comes out Ladina that a melech did not wear a Sefer Torah around his arm based on the way the Rambam paskin that Ksav changed from the Zman of Moshe to the Zman of Ezra. So what's a technical read in the Gemara between a Machlokes, the Marshal, and the Marsha about what is the disagreement in the Gemara, what was the kasha of the Gemara of the Idach? First of all, happens to be a Machlokes whether or not Lamaisa. Were there opinions out there? The Marshal was not willing to accept that a Melech has the mitzvah to write 2 Sifrei Torahs. Marshal says everyone has to agree to that. That's unanimous. That was not up for debate. Marsha says that that's wrong, but ultimately that is going to explain whether or not there's a halacha of the melech wearing the Sefer Torah with tiny lettering of kamin kamiya, depending on how you paskin, how to read the word of Kosav HaMishnah HaTorah Azos. Mirz Hashem, next week we will start a brand new Mishnah, a brand new sugya, and hopefully very soon finish the second Torah. Yeah.
What did Rambam do in Bayis Rishon? What did the Melech wear?
In Bayis Rishon, what do you mean?
Before Ezra.
Before Ksav Ezra.
Yeah.
So then it was.
Because all he had was coming.
But the drasha of Ksav that was